because this is where the invading Arabs brought with them the skill and the technique and the knowledge of how to grow these plants, and that hasn't changed since the 4th century.
What can look like a simple plantation or block of trees is in fact a series of very sophisticated palm orchards.
The palm orchards were divided into units, and each owner had about 10 of these small plots, and that was enough for a family to live off. And they all produced them in exactly the same way. So in the middle of each square was a cereal crop, often wheat. And then in amongst them was a mid-story of fruit, citrus, pomegranates, really important, olives. And around the outside were the date palms, and that provided shade in summer and protection in winter.
But by the 1960s, the owners found that they couldn't make a living this way and moved away to bigger farms in the countryside. So the local council then bought up 70% of the land, which they now use as a nursery for trees destined for the streets and parks.
In the Arab world, dates were the most prized of all crops. And it's only the female date palm that bears the fruit. And you can see here the upright, very yellow-green fronds with little bubbles on them are next year's dates. And then you have this year's dates, very visible. Well, in fact, they haven't ripened properly because the harvest is from October to April. But there's just one there that is ripe, and I think if I'm careful, I can pick it. And if I go in here, there we are. There it goes. Okay. You can see it's quite an amber colour. That's good. But you can't have any dates at all if you don't have a male tree as well as a female one. This is a male tree with its flower, and if I knock it, you can see there's plenty of pollen on there. And that pollen will fertilize the female tree so it bears fruit. All this growth depends upon a system of irrigation, and it was brought over from North Africa by the Arabs, who took the water from the river Vinalopou, channeled it down, and then once it reached the city, it became a web of channels coming to all of these orchards. And within the orchards, by using sluices, they could direct the water to particular fields. And this is exactly how it remains today.
A long drive takes me across the Sierra Nevada to my next garden, which is in the city of Malaga. Malaga is now best known as a holiday resort, but away from the beaches in the hills behind the city is a fine garden. This is the Concepcion Botanic Garden, created by the Marquess and Marquesa de Casaloring in the 1850s in the grounds of what had been the family farm. They set about acquiring exotic plants from all over the world to create their own private botanical garden, naming it after their youngest daughter, Concepcion. And despite the dry Andalusian climate, its paths now wind up through lush, semi-tropical vegetation and magnificent mature trees. But the beauty of the plants is now accompanied by something else.